That which you can't fast from controls you. If you can't cut something out of your life for a period of time, whatever period of time that is, it's controlling you. It could be anything. It could be social media. It could be, drinking. It could be weed. It could be whatever, right? It doesn't matter. But if you feel like you need something, that thing is controlling you.
Welcome to the Good Life.
Welcome back to another episode of the Good Life Visual Audio Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, C. Muzan. I got Coach Kobi here in the building now. Say what's up, Coach.
Let them know. Yes. This is in honor of Detroit, in honor of Uncle Jalen, in honor of Uncle Jacoby. Gotta give the people what they want. Yeah.
Paying homage. Homage.
That's right.
That's it. You must. How you been though? Good week, man. For you?
Been good. Yeah, good week. Both of us, energy's high, energy's good. Partly because of some of the stuff we're going to be talking about today. So I'm excited. I'm in a good spot. Sun is feeling really nice out here on the West Coast. How are you doing over there on the East Coast?
Listen, doing amazing. To that point, just a day ago, was it yesterday, Tuesday? Yeah, it was 71 degrees. The sun came out, went outside, got a chance to take a walk. So again, I know you talk bad about Philly and the East Coast all the time.
Oh, never that.
But you living out there on the West Coast in the sunshine and getting the vitamin D consistently. But for us out here, we're not getting the vitamin D consistently. So when it does come back after this last 4 months or 5 months of not having it, it is such a blessing. It feels amazing. I want to cancel all my appointments and just go outside for the day because it feels so good. But that's the importance of that vitamin D, man. The sun is so important, and we got a chance to really feel it yesterday. Spring was springing. It felt good. One of my clients up in New York was feeling the exact same way, and it's a relief out here. That seasonal depression stuff is real on the on the East Coast. It's a real thing.
1,000%. Of course. Yeah. And this is why when you have options, right? when you go ahead and you establish yourself, how you want to establish yourself, or you're blessed or you're lucky, whatever it is, however you get there, and you get yourself some options. Because I don't know about you, brother, but oh man, I just do a lot. I just do a little bit better when I'm closer to the sun, man. Just a little bit better. And I think we're going to be talking about some of that stuff today, right? So in terms of some of the things that we don't pay enough attention to, right? Natural antidepressants, right? Natural mood lifters, right? Natural things that give us the sort of underlying feelings that we're looking for, but we don't pay enough attention to.
It's so true. I'm glad we're going to touch on some of that stuff. Those of you that are logging in, I know we're supposed to have a guest. Our guest didn't make it today, but it's okay because the Good Life keeps moving on. The show keeps moving. Maybe gets a chance to come back around. He had some important stuff to handle, but
he'll be back around. But it leaves us. It's great. It's actually pretty good timing. Pretty good timing for tonight.
Absolutely. So thank you for everybody that's continued to check in, continue to support the episodes, whether you're on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook, or you're hearing us over on Spotify or Apple, iTunes, podcasts, whatever it is. Thank you for your support. We're heading into this episode 113, again, of us just sharing with you the tips, the tools, the concepts, the mindsets around health and wealth, right? Two real important parts of your life to get to that great life that you want to live and you want to design. So again, thank you for everybody that's been checking in with us. If you have not already, feel free to join us in our Facebook group. Again, our Facebook group is where we're dropping some more exclusive content. We get a chance to have more conversations, more one-on-ones, answer some more questions. We got some workshops and things coming up in the future. So if you have not yet, go over to Facebook, find us over there at the Good Life and join the group. We want to have more access. We want to be able to engage with you a little bit more and get a chance to answer your questions as they pop up. So make sure you join us over there. Let's start with our segment we call 2 by 2.
2 by 2.
A topic that has come up this past weekend. Again, depending on when you're watching this, a lot of you are watching this live right now. Those of you watching on the replay, this is something that you've probably seen. But man, this was the talk of the sports world over this past weekend. If anyone was following, we had both the men's and women's NCAA Final Four and then the championship game. And as Coach is alluding to, normally we talk about the men, right? But this time we're talking about the women, and the women are getting all the spotlight. LSU versus Iowa, and in particular, a young lady named Angel Reese got a chance to flex her muscles, so to speak. If you didn't catch it, LSU did wind up winning the national championship, but it came after Angel Reese, one of their star players, decided to continue to taunt and talk trash to the best player on Iowa, Caitlin Clark. Towards the end of the game, they had just won. She gives the old Tony Yayo, the old Yayo, you can't see me, you can't guard me, and also pointing toward that ring finger because they were about to win a ring. But it was really like some taunting going on and some hardcore gestures. So
man, listen, is this then on? Can I speak my mind? Or are we just still living in a world where everybody has to be handled with kitty gloves? Right? Can we actually say what we think? Man, this thing is so silly. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Look, this is insane. We're talking about two competitors. First and foremost, can we stop for a minute and give them credit for just the show that they put on? It was awesome. It was much more enjoyable, in my opinion, than the men's side. Definitely. Caitlin Clark is a straight baller. Goodness gracious. I was watching that game thinking to myself, goodness, she's a straight. She did Kobi coach her? Like, what is this? She was assassinating everybody. And all good, this is sports talk. No, we don't condone violence on this show. But she was assassinated. She was leaving no witness. I'm pretty sure she got their doorman. Like, what is going on? She is a savage. But Angel Reese, too, goodness gracious. I'll tell you this. She's a winner. She's a winner. And taunting, right? Taunting. What is this? Hand out your participation trophies and take your kitty gloves and go home. Right, this right here is a real basketball game played by real competitors, and there might be a little bit of trash talking here and there. And if it's not for you, you can turn it off.
Tell us how you really feel, Coach. Tell us how you really feel. Listen, I'm right there with you. I think it was, first off, super entertaining. Super entertaining. Caitlin Clark is a dog. Like, she is she can
certified hoop, assassin.
Right? It was just a great game. Look at this though, like from a like kind of a macro standpoint, like when's the last time we were talking about like women's college basketball, right? Like, think of what this did for the sport. Think about what this did regardless. We used to say it here on The Good Life. Y'all that go back, you're the OGs. We used to say what? All press is good press, right? That's right? So all press is good press. Look at this. Like, we're sitting here talking about it. Obviously, there's some other stories that came out after that. First Lady Jill Biden. I don't know if you saw that.
First Lady Joe Biden.
Jill Biden, not Joe. His wife.
We are. Is this thing still live? All right,
it's cool. Still live.
My thoughts to myself.
Yeah, please do. His wife, Jill Biden, decides to invite both LSU and Iowa, the loser, to the White House.
Whoa! I didn't hear about this.
Yeah, big.
We celebrate losing now.
Big deal. They turned it down. Both, like, LSU turned it down for that reason. But what precedent does that set? Like, man, now all of a sudden for some reason, and this has turned into, right, a little bit of black versus white, a little bit versus, classless versus, now all these things are popping up. And again, stemming from a women's college basketball game, right? So a lot of stories here, a lot of ways to go. I mean, like I said, I think the game was entertaining. I don't think that this was classless, like some of the media outlets are saying that, like,
ridiculous.
Right, there's no class in it. I play college basketball. I still play pickup basketball. I still talk trash. Everyone that has any competitive spirit when you're playing ball, you still talk trash, whether you're winning, whether you're losing, whether it's the beginning of the game or the end of the game. It doesn't matter. That is just sports in general. And I think a lot of people are holding these women to a different standard because they're women, and it's not the same. But like, even in men's sports, you're jawing after the game too. It's going to the locker room and you're still talking trash and jabbing at people. So
Shout out Ja Morant.
That's right. Like, you know what I mean? So like, these are the types of things that I don't think are a big deal. I think we're making it a big deal. But overall, shout out to, women's NCAA basketball,
Absolutely.
right? Shout out to LSU. I think this is a big deal for them and the sport in general.
1000%. And that's what we should be celebrating. Not whatever sort of, what should they be doing? Curtsying after the game? Please stop it. Stop it. Last time we were talking about women's basketball, I think Moby Dick was still a guppy. Like, come on, stop it. Right? Oh my gosh. All right.
It's true though. It's true though. Like, we weren't having these conversations. I mean, I can't remember the last time I watched the women's or talked about women's college basketball, right? Maybe when Diana Taurasi was playing, right?
Oh,
I don't
another
know.
dog.
Right. I know. She is.
Yeah,
she is.
In the best of ways, most respectful way possible. Of course. Because we got a lot of people here that just are insistent on misconstruing statements and shouts of jubilations, celebrations, and joy.
Enjoy. Anyways, we'll get off that topic. But again, shout out to LSU and ladies of LSU Tigers. Great job. And keep talking. Keep talking.
Just keep hustling. That's right.
That's right. So let's dive in to the show. Coach has got 7 tips for you today.
That's right. Not 6. Not 5.
Not 5. He's got 7. 7 tips for you today.
That's
we didn't know how to classify the tips, so we're just going to call them the tips. The 7. Ash, this is the name of the episode. The 7. That's it. It's the 7.
That's right. The 7 tips of revelation, I guess, or whatever you want to rejuvenation, whatever.
The 7. The 7.
Yeah.
Like that's
all right. So let's start with the 7. Number 1, right? And you have to guess what the theme is today. We don't tell you. There could be 7 random tips. Could cover anything, right? You got to tell us what it is. And if you get it right, we'll ship you a box of goodies. You don't get to know what's in it. You just get the make sure you sign for it too.
Just know it's something good from this.
That's right. So number 1 is eat foods close to the source with as little human intervention as possible. What I mean by that is we're talking about genetic modification, hormones, inappropriate cooking methods, microplastics, pesticides, right? All of these things in there. That's tip number 1. What say you?
First off, when you first told me this tip, it just made so much sense, but I never thought of it that way, right? It made so much sense to be like, yeah, the sun is our natural source, and it's right. It's needed for energy and to grow things like plants, and it's like, man, that makes sense, and probably good for our body too. Hence what we just were talking about, right? Springtime, springing, and now you want to be outside where the sun is. And when you said like you should probably eat things closest to the sun, as it's going to do best for your body, it's going to make you feel better, right? Like the whole 9 as far as energy. I was like, you're right. That just makes total sense. I never thought about it that way before meeting you and hearing it that way. It's common sense, but sometimes it's how it's packaged, right? How we talk about something. Because some people will just say, "Oh, eat fruits and vegetables." Well, that doesn't sound the same as eat things closest to the sun with as little human interaction as possible, right? The further you go down that, the further it gets picked from the tree and then gets into the hands of this guy and then gets into the truck and then gets into the factory and then goes from the factory to the production line to the all the way down. It's like, yeah, that fruit's not as good. Remember we were just on a private call and I was like, oh, I got some mangoes. I like mangoes. And all you island and well, not you, but like some of our friends are islanders.
Jamaican, a Trinidadian, and a Ghanaian on the call.
That's right. They're like, I can't eat any of these mangoes from the States. These mangoes, I got a mango tree in my backyard. Da, 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 da. And I was like, well, my mango says it's from Guatemala. I picked it up from the grocery store.
Oh no!
But it says Guatemala.
Oh man!
And you're like, that's what the sticker says. I'm like,
yeah,
touche, sir, touche.
Oh man, and this is so true. This is really interesting, and these sort of ways of communicating these ideologies have evolved over time, right? So one thing that's evolved is I started out saying sun, and then now I say source because I see like a double, almost triple entendre there in the sense of yes, sun, but also source in the sense of like, where is it actually coming from, right? Is it being shipped to you? And then where is it actually coming from in terms of its actual what we call it, biological history, right? Has it been modified? Is it a hybrid? Is it all these things, right? So and these are it's interesting because when you start to do this sort of digging is when you realize that foods that do for our hybrids, for example, are foods that a lot of people are sensitive to, right? Because the three things we're looking at when it comes to food is first and foremost toxicity, deficiency, and then I'll throw a third one in there. It's sensitivities, right? So toxicity, deficiency, and sensitivity. If you can identify these things where you have toxicities in your consumption, where you have deficiencies in your system or holes in your system that you can fill, right? Toxicity, obviously you detox, you remove the toxins. Deficiencies, obviously you supplement, preferably with food. If not, then with other supplements, maybe herbs, etc. But sensitivities as well, because that's slightly different. It may not necessarily be toxic, but you are sensitive to it because of your genetic background, your epigenetic expression, right? That's taken or modification that's taken place since whatever behaviors or habits have been adopted by your family.
Listen, people got to start understanding these types of things, and the way you break it down, it's paying attention to what we're consuming. That's really all it comes back to, right? It's just paying attention to it and understanding kind of where our food's coming from. That's something we always got to get back to. We believe that is the good life in general, right? It's just knowing your food source, knowing where things are coming from, knowing what's in there. How do we get back to? I mean, we've bounced around this idea a ton on the show.
Yeah.
Like, how do we get back to this place? Is the solution everyone grows their own stuff? Is the solution that we start having like real community farms type of thing, right? But like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think there's a few different levels. There's like 0 to 100. 100, we all like everybody owns their reverts, which it's probably not going to happen. But we also can't stay at 0, right? So we can start with start where you are. Right. If you're eating fast food, etc., then you've got some space. You got some room to growth. Maybe start eating whole foods and then start playing around with fasting and detoxification, etc. Now, if you're already doing those things, now we got to get a bit more granular as to, looking at where is the food source coming from? Can you get a bit more local? Can you get a bit more seasonal? Can you then think about the preparation of the food? Can he then think about other aspects of the process of getting food from growth to the plate and cleaning that up as much as possible, right? Organic somewhere in there, right? So I think there are a few things you can do in terms of the actual, looking at the complete system. I'm sure I don't have any solutions, but it seems to me that like when things get bigger, it becomes more chaotic. But when things get smaller, more local, where we do have a chance. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's and that's always kind of been I think the model, and what's hindered the model, in my opinion, uh, is the financing, like the money side of things. The smaller you get, the more capital is needed, right? The more money is needed, the more it takes a lot more to run a small restaurant than it does a large chain restaurant, in all honesty, right? Because you get deals and you can, right, price benefits and price breaks. I used to tell people when I worked in the restaurant world that like Red Lobster Darden Group used to control like the price of shrimp, right? Because at the end of the day, you're ordering hundreds of millions of pounds of shrimp for all of your restaurants all across the
Mhm.
world. So, like, yeah, you're going to take over that market, but you're a small local fisherman or like shrimp farmer or whatever they are, right? You're not going to have the same benefits. So, I think it's the
Yeah,
same thing,
yeah,
right? When you start to get very local things, like, it costs money to run a farm. It costs money to run a small operation. You still need the similar machinery. You still need manpower and those things, but you're only
yeah,
getting it to a certain group of people. So it's going to cost a little bit more. And we talked about, again, look at what's happening in our economy, what's happening in people's finances. People are getting laid off left and right. So will people then have the finances to choose the best quality thing,
mm,
the most local thing, even though they'll probably get a little bit less of it than if they went to something that's not going to be as fresh, as good for them, I guess, so to speak, but they can get more of it and kind of more bang for their buck. So, right.
yeah. What we're really playing with is kind of economies and diseconomies of scale, right? But and that's how I relate it. That's to how I understand it. However, you understand it, it's fine. But reason I say that is because there's like this tipping point, right? However, it wasn't always. Um, I think people kind of see it as like, oh, the bigger, the more, blah blah. But in certain circumstances, we've created artificial diseconomies of scale for big conglomerates due to either government intervention or different sort of like mechanisms that are put into place that are unnatural and or wouldn't be found in a natural competitive environment, competitive market. And we're kind of going, a little bit of a tangent here, but it's all related, right? The economies of it, right? The finances of it, these dictate our decisions. The reason a lot of people go to Walmart rather than go to Whole Foods is because it's cheaper. It's not necessarily because it's better food,
Right.
right?
Right.
So and to your point, I think if we can empower, not artificially, but I think naturally, just allow competitive balance to exist, right? And not give big business, big food, big agriculture, and these big businesses, give them in a lot of circumstances like an unfair advantage, right? You look at big chicken, for example, right?
Mhm.
And, this is there's a case study done by that. I always reference this, but I forget exactly what it's called. But it's a holy chicken, I believe it is, and
Mhm.
he d- demonstrates this better than I can right now, which is looking at, if I want to do good as a chicken farmer, it's almost impossible. And by good, I mean, organic and
Feed the
high
right
quality.
things.
Yeah,
Right.
it's impossible. I can't compete.
Yeah, and that's what makes it tough. That's what I said. It's capital. Like, you need capital in order to do this, because you're heading up against a bigger market, right? The conglomerates of the food
Yeah,
cycle, so to speak. So
yeah,
either way, right? Back to your point. If there is something that we can do, right, it would be heading towards this direction of um, sourcing our food and getting it closer to the source, and knowing exactly what's in the food that we're consuming.
yeah, yeah. Number two, eat only when hungry, mindfully, with gratitude, and around people you love. Fruits And for some, high quality meat and organs is a great base. Limit or eliminate processed sugars, processed grains, seed oils, alcohol. And remember, if it doesn't nourish, repair, or detoxify at the cellular level, it is not food.
Eating because we're hungry, not for any other reason.
Or quite frankly, I'm not saying don't eat for enjoyment, but eat when hungry, right?
Yeah,
So wait, right?
right,
If you're having a meal that is for enjoyment, what do we do before? We pay our dues,
right.
right?
That's right. You pray, whatever it is. It's funny because I have this conversation in my own household. In my own household, uh, my daughter is transparent moment, guys, on the podcast. My
Oh,
my daughter is like snacking all day long. And I'm probably sure there's some parents out there that are like, that's fine. She's a growing child. My daughter's 5, she's going on 6, right? And so she's a growing child. She needs to eat. Sure, got it. But like all I can see from my structured daddy brain and is her eating because she's bored or not stimulated. And that habit. And again, it's not even that she's eating all terrible things,
sure.
right? Because I've seen her just snack on black olives and like cucumbers and
Oh, God.
apples. Yeah, I know. Just like, but like,
Black olives.
yeah. My daughter has a really like eclectic taste. Like she'll eat almost anything, but like some things like she doesn't like. She'll eat pizza, but pick off the cheese, like weird things like that, or like right. But like she'll eat like seaweed salad if we go and eat sushi, right? Like she'll eat, like I said, black olives. She'll all types of stuff that like most kids like don't really pick at. Like, but she goes in, she eats salad, she eats seaweed salad, she'll eat miso soup, right? Like she just all types of stuff that like I don't think most kids eat, but she just eats all day. On top of, by the way, on top of goldfish or potato chips or honey nut Cheerios or something, right? Like she just snacks all day long, and I'm just like, me and my wife have these, right? We go back and forth because my wife doesn't always see it. That like that's a problem. But all I can see is this habit of like, 'cause I asked her one time because she'll see me eating like it literally happened a couple days ago. I saw her eat something for breakfast, eggs and zucchini or something that she had. I was cutting up strawberries. She ate her eggs and zucchini, and then she comes and she's like, "Can I have a couple strawberries?" I'm like, "Are you still hungry?" Like, "Yes, you can, but are you still hungry? Or you're eating because you see me have it?" And she'll pick this up like because she sees it around, she'll just eat it. And I'm like, "Is this a good thing? Is this a habit like we should break?" You know what I mean? And again, she's
Yeah.
5. She's 5. She's in great health, right? Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? All those things. But like, I just see this habit kind of ballooning out, and I don't like it. I don't like it, not
Yeah.
one bit.
I honestly have zero comment on that, besides the fact that I think, I don't know. I don't know. And I'm not sure anybody knows definitively, right? So, if you don't know definitively, why not kind of let it play out? I guess, that's kind of, that's the best that I could come up with,
Yeah,
because it may not be like, it may be something that she drops, it may be something she keeps going with, and maybe it may
yeah.
never be a problem. It may become a huge problem. But how do we know? I have
Who
literally have no
knows?
idea.
That's the key. Who knows? But that's just what I see. Because if those are not the traits I would want her to have of just eating because she sees it or because she's bored, I would
Yeah. Yeah.
love it that like she's
Most
at a
people do
place.
that.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean. Like that's what most people
You don't
do.
want her to. You don't want her to struggle with the burdens of the common man.
Exactly, because that's what happens. I've
That's fair.
fallen guilty of that before. So
Yeah, that's fair. That's
just
fair.
being
We,
aware.
and I think, if anything, it is a lesson for all of us. It's like, think about why we eat. Like, I think, if we talk about awareness quite a bit, and this is another one of those things. Taking a step back, and it's like, I don't want to eat right now, but I have to just because somebody shoved food samples in your face, right? It's no, I'm fine. But right, we feel rude, or I feel rude at times. I'm like, fine, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I don't really do that much anymore, to be honest. But it's I think it's one that awakens us, and this is why the 7 here is so critical, because these things tap into not just science in the sense of like nutritional science or workout science, but tapping into mindset, which is really kind of like the core of a lot of these changes, if you will, that we're trying to implement in our lives.
Yeah. People are eating for comfort these days too, a ton, right?
Oh,
It's
these
just like,
days,
I mean, yeah,
all days.
I'm sure. I'm sure it's
Right,
been
yeah,
a long time, but like you see it so
more
much
than normal.
more. Yeah, you just see it so much more now. Like
Yeah,
I'm going here because like it's brunch and
right,
just right, like it's tied into so many other things than just like a meal.
right,
It's
right.
now like this experience that
It
you
is.
have.
It
And
is. Think about how many places, and two things here. One, think about how many places in our society we go just to like hang out with people, right?
hmm
Restaurants are like probably at the top of the list, right?
hmm
And then, I always say if food is the best number one example, but I always say consumption, because everything we're saying about food applies to
right.
alcohol, applies to weed, applies to all of these other things, pornography, or whatever it is that you can clay, whatever it is that you consume to get to do something or another. Not all. It's again. It's not all like a bad thing. Like it's not all like a don't do this thing. It's more of like an awareness thing. Like have you
Right.
lost? Are you no longer thinking, or are you no longer aware of what is happening? It's just automatically happen. Whenever I go by, a red door, I I eat a donut. Like what? And we have these things, right?
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. But
Yeah.
I think awareness is the key on that one. Just
Number one.
awareness.
Number 3. Train to get stronger with simple movements done with total body awareness and using progressive overload while taking gravity and torque into consideration. Train for fun and to perform your favorite activities at the desired level. These are all very, very heavy, right? Because these are literally theses, right? So let me break that down for you,
Please
really
do.
quick.
I was going to ask you too. I was like, I need to have that in some simpler
so,
terms, sir.
so where the 7 goes is basically, if I was to summarize, right, my knowledge of the body and movement in 7 things, period, right? So hence why they're so dense. But train to get stronger, you know, with simple movements. I think a lot of what we're told in traditional fitness advice is, long hours in the gym, heavy weights, and lots of volume on your joints, etc. And training for purely physique rather than training for multiple variables like strength, like power and speed, etc., and all of those different things that come together. So training to get with simple movements. There's only like 7 to 8 complex movements the body does. Training those movements gives you basically any combination of movements that a trainer could train for is out of those 7. It's kind of like 7 colors, seven notes, right? All right. It's like there are only really 7 real movements. Everything else, and some would argue, and this is where we take torque and gravity into consideration, that when you really look at it, there's only really 2 muscle groups in the body, and this is going quite granular, but I'll step back a little bit. Is you can it's overcomplicated by traditional fitness advice, very overcomplicated, and you should really just think of, and this really here is like the fundamental, right? If we were to train, we're born to move, to run, walk, throw, jump, and maybe like 2 or 3 other movements that probably come out to 7 if you really think about it again, right? I just want to point these patterns out because they're complex when you haven't maybe studied them or paid attention to them, but once you see them, it's actually like very simple. It's like the colors of the rainbow. It really is very simple. And when we stick to those things, I always talk about 20% of things that get us 80% of results, and that's what I'm talking about here. And when we take those things into consideration, we actually, we don't get hurt, we don't get burnt out. Training is not like that crazy of a thing. Like you can, once you're like kind of where you want to be aesthetically, pretty much, you really only need to train like once a week, really. Like there's so many different conceptions that to be broken down, but that's what this one attempts to do right there.
Well, I love it. Like, because again, it's fundamentals, and we love that word on the Good Life, fundamentals, because most people skip over it in the wealth side and the health side. They just skip over fundamentals. There is a lot of murkiness of the fundamentals in the traditional fitness space, right? That's why we hear all these different exercises and movements and things that you should be focused on. And again, just working with you, personal experience, just understanding, right? The push pull squat, right? Very classic.
Yeah.
Classic movements, classic things that like we can work on. Push pull squat allows you to get stronger in those areas. Allowed me to get stronger in those areas. Something I'm still doing right now as we currently speak. And when you really think back, gyms are like a modern thing. You know what I mean?
Really
Like
are.
this is not something that 40 years ago, 30 years ago was a big thing, right? It was like the Arnold Schwarzenegger time, right? That gyms got bigger, like was that the 80s ish, right?
About.
Yeah, right. So we're talking, 40 years ago, this wasn't a thing in our society of just like, let me go to the gym and like have all these hard workouts. Like it's no, like your lifestyle, push, pull, squat, like you pick up stuff, you carry groceries home and shit, right? Like you fix stuff around the house, like you're moving, you're walking to your job or to your place of employment where you're spending time, you're bending, you're lifting, like you're doing all these things naturally. Now we live in a society where most people don't do those things. Good old we sit here on the computer, we sit here looking at a screen, we go sit on the couch and watch television, like we play a video game sitting in a chair, like we do all these things that take us away from the basic movements anyway, and then we feel like we got to go to the gym and do all these elaborate things. It's like probably don't need any of that stuff, right? You probably just need to start moving your body in the way it was designed to move.
Absolutely.
Do that more often,
Absolutely. And once you train those fundamentals, then the rest is just go play, right? Go test it out. Number 4 is so the first two, as you may have noticed, address consumption. The third one addresses movement. Fourth one, number 4, addresses lifestyle, which are the 3 pillars, right, that we manipulate. In terms of what I do with folks to actually get to where we want to go. So number 4 is live a lifestyle that lowers the level of stress introduced by our modern environment, including things like, and this is a list from the what I'll call the scorecard, which is a list of activities that does exactly that, lowers the level of stress introduced by modern environment, which are things like grounding, cold shower, self-massage, meditations, oil pulling, red light therapy, fasting, journaling, aversion therapy, dry brushing, tongue brushing, management of, and hold on, connection. All right. Pleasure and connection. There we go.
Listen, like I know all of this stuff can be found in your book. However, just this is a selfish question.
Right.
Have you ever thought about just putting out like the scorecard? Like it's so helpful. It's so like itself, just like promote the scorecard. Like just do more stuff that like just talks about the scorecard to give. It was such a huge part of calibrating and recalibrating myself that I really think that like that scorecard would help people just that on a daily basis be like, what's your score today?
Yeah.
Like you get below 10, like you're probably not as focused as you need to be, right? Like you get below 7, like you got some
your energy's probably low.
Your energy's probably low, right? Like you start to get into the 12, 13s, 14s. Okay, like things are moving, right? Feeling a little bit. I think that's something people can calibrate themselves with, man. I would really I would encourage you to like
listen, if that's what the people want, it can be done. But the people gotta let me know they want it. You know what I'm saying? The people gotta let me know.
Guys, drop some stuff in these comments. Tell them you want the scorecard. Even if you don't know what it is, I'm telling you, it'll change your life. It'll change the way you feel. Like, drop it in the chat. Drop it in the comments. Like, I want the scorecard. Just say that. I want the scorecard.
And if you do, then we'll make it available and we'll go ahead and we'll just drop it in the Facebook group for you guys.
That's it, right? We're gonna do it. My buddy here again just says Facebook user, but my buddy here says I'll take the scorecard. He wants it.
Yeah.
He or she, right? Don't know. He or she
Yes.
wants the scorecard. So you're gonna get it. You're gonna get that scorecard. We'll make sure we.
Oh no, we need at least 2 more people, man.
Oh,
we need at
he's
least
making
3.
it hard. He's making
The
it hard.
people got to speak. The people must speak.
He's making it
The
hard.
people must speak. Number 5.
Oh, what's up, Nia? It's Nia. Good job. Hey, Nia. I don't know why it pops up that you're just a Facebook user, but welcome.
You are not just a Facebook user.
You are not just a
more
Facebook.
than a Facebook. You are more than a Facebook user. Number 5. So the first we talked about it, right? Number 5 deals with something that I focus quite a bit on, which is using different forms of fasting for the health of. And I have 5 different things. But let me pause there and say what I mean by that. Fasting is such a powerful tool we've tried to replace it with all types of different things, including calorie counting, macros, all this other stuff. But fasting is very natural. We do it every day. All that's left is is literally manipulating the time frames and what goes in, etc., to get other results. So it's very, very natural. It also addresses different layers of the individual, from body, mind, spirit, right? So there's a lot there, and I can go into this for quite a while, but you can also utilize. I teach it to be utilized as like a golf bag, right? You have your different clubs in there, and you have like 9, maybe 10 different forms of fasting that you can utilize based on what you're trying to do, what your goal is. So whether it's gut health, metabolism, hormones, mental health, or even physique, all right, a 3-day juice feast will do crazy things for the body. And you don't address hormones, gut health, or metabolism, or mental health for that matter, when you're just counting calories and tracking macros, right? So we can unlock our ideal physique, but when we deal with what I call the core four, right, which is gut, metabolism, hormone, and movement, stabilizing those 4 typically will solve 80, if not. We're focused on 20% to get 80% of the results. 20% of habits that get us 80%, and that's how we calibrate this thing to be efficient, regardless of what your schedule is. What you don't need that much time. Then I have number 6.
Wait, real quick. Fasting.
Oh yeah, I went quick
fasting.
On that.
I know, right? You're just trying to blow by it. These things are really important.
They're dense.
This is the 7. It's the 7. This fasting part is a big deal. I will always, I think, quote you on this one. That which you can't fast from controls you. Right? That which you can't fast from controls you. So yes, Kobi is talking about gut health and hormones and mental clarity or mental health and all those things for sure. But like, back to awareness, if you can't cut something out of your life for a period of time, whatever period of time that is, right? Just, I don't even care. Like it could be a day, it could be 2, it could be a week, it could be 10. It doesn't matter. If you struggle to cut that thing out, it's controlling you. It's controlling a part of you. And the opposite of the good life, right? The good life is you being free of all those things to design the life that you want. And so you need to have control over those things. Nothing has control over you. So I would challenge the people that are listening, like, the thing that you think might be controlling you, try to fast from it. Give yourself a day, 2 days, 3 days. Like Kobi said, if you did a 3-day juice fast, right? That's getting away from solid food for 3 days. You'll see how much it controls you. If you already are like, there's no way I could. There we go. Right? It could be anything. It could be social media. It could be, drinking. It could be weed. It could be whatever, right? It doesn't matter. Coffee. It could be anything. But if you feel like you need something, that thing is controlling you. And that which you can't fast from controls you. I got that from coach here. And I always lock that in. And I think it's important not to sound harsh or mean, but it's awareness. It's awareness. Like you just got to be aware. Like nothing should control you. Whatever you think you like doing so much, and it's just like, oh, well, it's just, I like it. Well, try to take it away for a second. You can't always get what you like. It's something I'm teaching my 5-year-old right now. Right? You can't always just get the things you like, you know? And it's funny because my daughter does understand what fasting is. And she actually did a good job of fasting candy for a day. Right?
Oh,
Sugar, not just candy, sugar, right?
wow.
Sugar for a day, right? And it was hard. It was hard for her at 5. It was difficult. Like she's like, "Can I have this?" Like, can't. She's like, "I can't." Like she almost had a meltdown, you know. But these are the things that we should now do as adults to see like what is actually controlling you. So that was my 2 cents on fasting.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I'll add one more thing to that, and that is, think about harmony, right? Not necessarily a plug, but literally called my book here, feasting your way to harmony, right? The word harmony is really key here because when we think about day and night, natural forces, they have to balance each other out, right? And if they don't, there's an issue. There's some sort of issue if they don't balance each other out. If the period, our opposite of Eden is not Eden, like if those things don't balance each other out, there's usually some sort of issue that occurs now or later. But someday it definitely occurred. So it also comes down to that harmony, and not necessarily balance. Right? Not that they're in equal amounts, but they are in harmony of each other. Six supplements. Top 5 supplements. You ready?
Let's do it.
High quality food, sun, sleep, living water, and salt.
That was 5.
Yes.
Oh, you said 5? I thought you said 6, but
no.
It was number 6.
Top 5. Number 6, top 5.
There we go.
And then
say them again. Say them again.
High quality food.
Okay.
Right. We already talked about that. Sun, sleep, living water, and salt. Now, am I saying that if you have a deficiency and you need to supplement it in other ways that doesn't include those top 5, you shouldn't? Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying those top 5 are so important that if you focus on them most, in fact, I'll give you a number, 80% of your needs will be covered, right? 20% of things that give us 80% of the results. We're not talking about 100%. And I'm not opposed to any other supplements or any of that nature. Just those are the top 5 that we should give focus to, and it'll help place the large rocks first, and the small ones will fall in place.
I don't think we focus on sleep enough. There are those other things. I mean, when you say living water, right? That's the right type of water to consume, right? So I don't think that we have enough education around living water, like the specific type to consume. But really, just out of that list, also, I just don't think that the sleep side is something that I don't think we pay enough attention to often. So Nia just asked this in the comments. She said, "What do you do if you struggle with salt, which seems to be in everything?"
Oh, very interesting. Very interesting. So this is actually a little bit of a longer response. So my question would be, to kind of clarify, what is the struggle with salt? It sounds like overconsumption of salt.
Right.
Now, I would want you to be clear that it is actually overconsumption of salt that is causing whatever symptoms, right? There's something that's being caused and it's being attributed to salt. I would want to clarify that is actually the fault of salt and not the fault of something else like sugar, right? Because that's usually when people say I overconsume salt, it's in everything. They're usually actually overconsuming sugar. I don't use salt.
She also said she doesn't use it to season any other food.
So I'll be shocked if you're overconsuming salt then.
Yeah. So maybe it's not an issue.
Yeah, maybe it's not. A lot of, because again, right, the demonization of salt, it was done because uh, it was attributed to specific health outcomes. Those things are quite honestly slowly being debunked.
Mm,
And so now it becomes like, okay, well, if it wasn't salt, what is it?
mhm,
Right. And should salt be the concern? And I think from most cases, it's usually not. So it's usually, the fault of things that turn into glucose,
mhm.
right? Refined carbohydrates, starches, sugar. Like those, usually those are the things, right? Um, Same things that rot your teeth for a
Mhm.
reason, right? Salt preserves, right? So that's a much bigger topic, but yeah, I think that's a really interesting one.
She
And the reason
she's
I got
she's saying it's big cramps is what she's getting, and that she's trying to narrow down where they're coming from. I think that's what she's saying.
oh, interesting. So
Yeah.
I would actually, again, I don't give medical advice here, but
Okay.
I would actually try consuming better salt. If you don't season any of your food, I would try, because again, we're minerals, right? We're pillars of salt, literally,
Mm,
right? We're minerals, we're electric creatures. Salt's electric and a mineral. So, I don't know if you already consume something like sea moss, but also something like pink Himalayan salt or Celtic salt or really high, because a lot of salt has microplastics in it. It's not really good quality salt. But getting some good quality salt and actually upping your salt intake, again, might, and not just salt, but also electrolytes, right? Like minerals, which you can get in multiple different places, whether it be electrolyte packets. Get the ones that are low sugar or zero sugar electrolyte packets. Put it in your water, and I think you feel a lot better. My sister actually had migraines for a long time, and she upped her electrolyte intake, her salt intake, and they've diminished significantly.
mm.
Again, not giving medical advice, but I think that's one that's been like, it's been crazy because we've been hit with this narrative, and now it's appearing like maybe that's not necessarily what it is. Maybe we actually need more. I had a whole when I was first starting out, like as a trainer, I had a whole conference about a dude that put on a conference about salt. I was so confused. I was sitting there, why is he saying we don't eat enough salt? I thought we eat too much salt. So the whole time I was listening to him explain this, then, and it kind of made sense, but I didn't get it till like, years later.
Yeah, that Himalayan is the pink rock salt, right? It's the or I mean it comes in rock form, but you can get right
Are you
regular.
asking me?
No, I'm telling you. Oh, I forgot. She actually put this in the chat, right? The pink rock salt,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I was just agreeing and saying, yep, it's the pink rock salt.
Yeah. You
Um,
will check the quality, more than
yeah,
anything, the quality, and then, salt, and again, it really comes down to minerals. If Dr. Sebi taught us anything, is that we're electric beings, and it really comes down to minerals. And you can get those from different places, and salt is an incredible source of that.
yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely look at it.
Shout out to the sea moss. I've been on the sea moss for the past couple of weeks too, right?
Yeah,
Getting all my minerals from that.
there you
Taking a
go.
couple tablespoons every morning. My wife hates it. I love it. It's delicious to me. It's making me feel
Easy,
good.
something
Easy,
easy to do,
easy. That's
easy
right.
to do. But that's a great one right there. I didn't put CMOS on here either, but like again, like I said, it's top five. Again, those other ones are true supplements, if you will,
Sure,
right?
sure.
So
Feel
yeah.
great, Nia, by the way, right? Like the CMOS probably going on, yeah, a little bit over 2 weeks, maybe almost 3 weeks now, just being consistent with it. And
Mhm.
feel great. I've been doing some other things, right? Coach and I here, right? We've been on a bit of a fast recently anyway. So
And
just
lifting consistently.
lifting consistently, right? Like
Yeah, a
all
lot of
the
things.
things, yeah, all the things we're talking about, right? It's just putting it all together, being aware, putting it all together, kind of going at the pace, right? You ebb and flow. Last year was different than this year, so this year we have a little bit more of a focus. So,
Yep.
that's all. Everybody has their own plan. That's why I recommend you reach out to someone like Kobi, right? Like this is what we do. You know what I mean? Like have the conversation, start putting it in place for yourself, so that you can feel good, right? Get your gut in the right place, get your, breathing in the right place, all those types of things, so that, we have the energy we need to live the good life and go pursue the good life.
1,000%,
Amen.
1,000%. And you guys keep an eye out. We do have some really exciting stuff coming out. Like a 6-week transformational course that we're putting out for stuff like this. So keep an eye out.
Yeah.
But the last one here, 7, is I think one that's really important. Kind of brings it all together and ensures that you'll have certainty in your path, and ensures that if there are any deviations, obstacles in the way, that you'll be able to navigate and course correct accordingly. And that is to be an educated CEO of your life with a trustworthy board of advisors, including but not limited to, because this is mostly the health side, right? You want a medical doctor on your team. You want an acupuncturist, and I want to explain that an acupuncturist covers 5 different modalities, right? Including herbs, including massage, your quinoa, including including nutrition, right? And then acupuncture, and it's really important because they put all those together for a reason, because they influence each other. I would also get a really good neuromuscular therapist to work on soft tissue muscle. So pain, not when you get the pain, but when you get the tension. It's huge, because otherwise imagine having sections of your muscles that are essentially dehydrated and locked up. You may not feel it right away, but it's going to cause issues. And that's what a neuromuscular therapist goes into those knots, releases them, and allows the muscle to be rehydrated at that point.
How common is it to find a neuromuscular therapist? I feel like we talked about this.
It should be a lot more common. It should be a lot more common. We're familiar with relaxation massage, but we're not familiar with what I would essentially call medical massage, right? And that's what this is. It's just a different level. And I have nothing against relaxation massage, but I think a lot of people shy away from trigger point work because it's unpleasant. But because it's unpleasant, you want to get it out of the way. Otherwise, it's gonna only get worse. It's not gonna get better by itself. It's not just going to magically release one day if you're not doing anything to help, because they probably are your natural holding patterns, which only increase over time. So yeah, that's not super common, but you can't go to the national, I believe it's the National Association of Neuromuscular Therapists. You Google them, you can find one in your neighborhood or your city or whatever. They are rare. They're highly trained individuals. Yeah, so it's
do they work in places, or normally they're going to be like independent, kind of come to your house type of thing, or have a spot?
So they are, they work with chiropractors, they work with acupuncturists, they also work independently. They work in clinical settings as well, like in an actual hospital. But I think most are probably independent or with a chiropractor. Coupled, like they're in joint service. Chiropractor would be my next. Who? What? Oh, sorry.
Musculoskeletal?
Neuromuscular. So, should we put that in there? How do we put that in the chat?
I don't know.
Neuro, like NEURO, neuromuscular.
Yeah. Neuromuscular therapist.
Yes.
Something to definitely look into for sure.
Absolutely. Then the chiropractor for sure, as a neuromuscular therapist, works with the soft tissue muscles. A chiropractor works with the bones, right? And I mean, you could also go to someone that does both, but again, you just want somebody that's addressing that aspect of it. Then I think you want to have, if you are, you're in the game because you're in your body. So let's say, to use sports, let's say you're the quarterback of your team. You need somebody on the sidelines that's aware of everything that's going on, can interpret, can help scout, can help put a game plan together, but ultimately you're the one making the game time decision on the field. And I believe that's a health coach. I think it's incredibly important to find a qualified individual who has a deep understanding of the things that you'll most likely be dealing with, how the system works, how to navigate the system, and put things kind of together for you. And then somebody you can bounce stuff off of, right? So someone who understands, you know, how medical doctors think and kind of what they're looking for, etc. Doesn't play all those roles. Again, doesn't play is not all of those roles, but has an understanding of how it all works, so they can help connect it, because that's one of the biggest things. It's this very disconnected system, and so something you're working on over here that's actually related to something over here may never get connected because those two individuals work in silos.
That's right. I think that's it, right? That's number 7. It's the board of directors. It's the people that you need in your corner to help you with your journey. So, I like that neuromuscular therapist. That's what I'm lacking. I'm lacking that.
Yeah, a good, and the thing is, a good one is a life changer, man, because they can do so much, and it's such a good value, because it's one of those things. It's not like if you get the muscles aligned. I mean, sorry, the bones aligned, and you don't align the muscles are eventually are ropes that will pull the bones out of place. So you really kind of need both, right? You need to do both, and those two things in and of themselves can cause internal disharmony or dis-ease, right? That can show up and manifest themselves in different ways. So yeah, man, these things quite frankly will keep you from making too many visits to your medical doctor.
Man, I feel like I need to groom a neuromuscular therapist, right? I need to like pay for somebody to go to school to do that.
Yeah,
So
they're out there. They're out there. They're out there. They just charge a lot.
That's it.
No, they don't, but they should. They should.
But they should. Probably.
If you are one, make sure you contact the show so we can put you in touch with some clients in your city.
For real. I was about to say that's like a business opportunity. Like we need to create like an app with a map or something. Find your board of directors, your healthcare board of directors. Here all of the different ones, and here's how you find them. Like that's literally a business idea. Somebody go put that together and cut us 5%.
That's it. That's it. Each
5% each to the good life. 10%. That's all. Just a good 10%.
That's all.
Man. So that was the 7. Run down the 7 again one last time for everybody that's listening.
Yes, sir. We'll go 7 and 1. We'll go 7 and 1. Be an educated CEO of your life and create a trustworthy board of advisors, including the 5 positions that we named. You want me to go through the positions, or are we good?
We got them.
We got them. All right. Number 6, we've got some supplements you should pay attention to, and they're the top 5: food, sun, sleep, water, and I'd actually put breath and salt. I might come back to me. Come back to me on that one. Top 5. All right. 5, use the different forms of fasting for health, such as gut health, metabolism, hormones, mental health, and even crafting your physique. Mm-hmm. Number 4, live a lifestyle that lowers the level of stress that's introduced by our modern environment. And we have the lifestyle, the scorecard that we talk about. Number 3, train to get stronger. And these are just about training with a particular, I'm not going to read the whole thing because I don't want to. Eat. Number 2, eat only when hungry, mindfully and with gratitude, and with people you love. And then 1, eat close to the source with as little intervention as possible.
Wow. That was the 7, guys. The 7 from Coach that are the theses of your health journey, I would say. I don't know how to, right? But that's really what it is. It's the
7 pillars.
The 7 pillars, right?
Yes. The 7 tenets. 10 commandments.
That's it. So pay attention to it, guys. We want to get you all the information. We want to make sure you have all the resources and all the mindset tools and things that you need in order to take your life to where you want to go and get to that good life or that great life. So this today was about on the health side of things, and you can all utilize those 7 things. Come back to this episode, listen to it. Nia's still asking for the scorecard, so we gotta drop the scorecard in there at some point. Come back to that scorecard. But these are all the things that are important, or that Coach believes that you should be focused on, right? Really to make some things happen. So it's a great place to wrap it up, though. It was a good episode, man. I appreciate
Yes, sir.
I appreciate the information. I appreciate the outline, and now it's just about actually, being mindful of this stuff and actually doing it and working through it. So
That's right.
we appreciate everybody listening. Thanks for tuning in. Next week we're coming back. I think we got a guest next week for episode 114.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I think that's going to be a good one. Bring your entrepreneurship hats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's right. But as always, right? Until next time.
Peace.
Later, y'all.
Welcome to the good life.